Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bri. I'm the owner and artist of Upcycled by Bri, and I am so glad that you are here. Today I have a couple of quick thrift flips for you. I showed these on a haul a couple of weeks back. I had them listed to be painted. They haven't sold yet, so let's paint them together. These are handmade. They are large. They were $5 a piece, but with the way wood prices are right now, I thought these had a lot of potential. They've got a good shape on them, already have hangers, and a little corbelled shelf. So I want to do either a decoupage paper or a stencil or a stamp. I'm not exactly sure what yet. I saw this wooden box, and of course it had to come home with me. I knew it had great potential. So about $4 after my discount. And I'm thinking umbrella box. I don't know. Ow, that spoon just fell on my toe. I'm thinking it's an umbrella box. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I plan on marketing it as. I grabbed DIY Crinoline. I have not used this color on my channel before, so I am super excited. You'll be able to find all of the paint products and my flips over on my website, upcycledbybri.com, but I always do link that all down in the description box below, so it's easy to find. I have plenty of crinoline in stock over on my site. I have not used this color before because honestly, I thought it was going to be too yellow for my liking, but it is a gorgeous, gorgeous cream color. Now, DIY paint is clay-based. It's highly pigmented and super thick, so you're going to get amazing coverage. I'm using a Cling-On brush. This is the F30, so it's flat and not super wide. For coat number 2, I grabbed a continual mist sprayer bottle. I have this linked down below in my Amazon storefront under craft supplies. Now it's just plain water in my bottle. I sprayed a light coat of water over the box before I applied the second coat. That little bit of water is going to help the paint move around a lot easier, which will help you save product, and then also it will help minimize brush strokes. Here's what we are looking like after 2 coats of crinoline. I went ahead and did some nice full coverage. I wasn't sure if I wanted to distress this or not, but now I'm looking at my other projects and we probably will. I knew I wanted to do a stencil on here. I've got the Farmhouse 1917. It's a little too big, so I'm going to have to do a little squishing of the letters, but I'm gonna make that work. And then I ran out to the garage in my metal stash and just grabbed a random rusty, crusty piece of metal, and we will get that put on as well. Totally changed the vibe of this outdated box. Y'all know I save metal pieces off of all kinds of junk I find, and this is why. So like I said, I grabbed a piece of metal out of my stash and a couple of screws as well. Don't throw stuff like this away if you are a maker. So I grabbed DIY Aviary. This is my #1 favorite green color. I've got my Farmhouse 1917 stencil, and this is the 1/2" JRV stencil brush. The key to a good stencil is to have a very dry brush. So I'm getting just a little bit of paint on my brush, and then over here I am offloading most of that paint on to a paper towel. Now make sure I hold my stencil down in place, and I'm going to use a swirling motion, swirling that brush right over my letter. I'm not applying a lot of pressure. And then if I need to, I can do just a little bit of stippling to make sure my coverage is a little more full. That's usually my technique. Let's see how it works out. Ta-da! My brush was probably a touch wet. I'm not a very patient stenciler, y'all, but this is going to require me to slow down a little here. So it didn't quite fit. I'm just gonna scooch it over a bit, and hopefully I can keep it lined up. I'm lining the stencil up with the top edge here so it'll stay straight for me. Just gonna have to scooch it. JRV stencils are made specifically for resellers. They are super thick and durable, made to be used over and over. And the density and flatness of the stencil brush is what gives you such a great image. I definitely got a little bit juicy with the paint, too much paint on my brush here, By the end of the stencil, I was doing much better. Don't look at that. But it's okay. If y'all take your time, look how crisp and nice these stencils can come out. I'm distressing it anyway, so that'll be fine. I've got myself a piece of 220 grit sandpaper here. It's just a quarter of a whole sheet. And then my little trick when I do the sandpaper, if you put one tear right down the middle the long way, then you can fold it into itself and it won't dull the paper as you're using it or make that nasty sound and feel as you're sanding. As you're sanding, think about hitting the edges and the corners, places that would naturally distress over time. Maybe you bumped them a few times as you were putting your umbrella in or something like that. Then I also take the sandpaper and sand lightly over my stenciled letters. I go just a little heavier where I was too thick with my paint. And then I'm taking it outside and sealing it with some Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel. You can also find this down in my Amazon shop. This is going to be super durable, and honestly, it was a beautiful day and this was easy and fast, so this is what I used. Back inside, just drilling a quick little pilot hole for my screws. That way they will go in easily without splitting the wood. And then slowly drilling this random piece of metal on for an extra special touch. Beforehand, a boring old box, and let's have a look at the final product. Drop me a comment below. What do you think about this makeover? It's been a while since I've done a farmhouse makeover, and this little industrial farmhouse box has my heart. It's gonna be hard to sell. Said umbrella box, I didn't have any umbrellas, so I actually staged it with these bats that I had found curbside a while back, and it got me thinking, how nice would this be in a mudroom or something like that? These bats are over in my vintage, found, and antique collection. Project 2 today, these sconces, they are going to get the brand new JRV scientific butterfly paper. How gorgeous is this paper? Look how vibrant the colors are. Every time they release new papers, they're getting better and better. $6.95 a sheet over on my site, and these sheets are 18 by 30 inches, so they're large, but then you can also cut them down and make lots of small projects. I removed that sticker and wiped these down with just a little bit of soapy warm water on the rag, and now I'm getting to painting. The color I'm using is a limited edition DIY paint color from the DIY Labs, but this is very close to DIY vintage linen, more of kind of a gray-white color. I just gave it a coat of white paint to really make that decoupage paper pop. I only did one coat. I wasn't even worried about full coverage. Once I figured out which part of the design I wanted, I just used this little mail opener and rubbed it along the edges where I wanted to make my cut. Since it wasn't going clear across, I couldn't trace the outline of the wood, and this was the next best option. And then I just cut along the crease. I laid my first piece I cut over my second piece and traced it. Now I have both pieces cut out, and I am using my DIY Liquid Patina as my decoupage medium. This is a multi-use product. I like it as a decoupage medium because it is a thin product and it dries quickly but not too fast. It gives me enough time to work with it. So one thin coat using a sponge brush, and I'm laying my paper down, making sure I get it in the right spot the first time. No pressure, right? Once I have it down, I smooth it out with my hands. You see, as I lifted it a little bit to fix it, it does lift that paint and everything right back up, so you have to be careful. And then I use my brayer to just really make sure it's nice and smooth. You'll see a few wrinkles. That doesn't bother me. I like the wrinkles because they distress really pretty. I know there's lots of methods to get a smoother decoupage job if that's your jam. I probably should experiment with that a little bit for you guys. Once I have it smooth like I like it, I do another thin coat of the DIY Liquid Patina over the top, and then I put mine in front of a fan for several hours to make sure it's really nice and dry. Once I know it's dry for sure, I take my 220 grit sandpaper and I start sanding along those sharp edges. And you'll see it gives me a nice, beautiful cut in my paper, and I can just remove it after I sand it. And then I did take a wet rag, I think I forgot to record it, and cleaned up around the edges. Since DIY paint is water soluble until it's sealed, I could just wipe off any extra paint, leaving that crisp wooden edge. Here's a look at the final project. This decoupage paper is so easy to use, as you can see. What do y'all think? Super pretty, right? It would also look gorgeous in a framed picture. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to share this video out with a friend. That's going to help this channel grow and help me bring you even more amazing content. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to all. And until next time, I will see y'all later. Bye, friends. Just put eye drops in. The sun is out in Kansas. I've got some sun rays here. Deal with it. I'm kidding, but seriously, deal with it because I'm not closing the blinds.